Afternoon iced coffee is one of my absolute favorite things as the weather starts to get warm and we get closer into like the summer. It's spring now, but even this kind of like warm 80 to 90 degree spring is something that we're so not used to, because up where we used to live, it's 18 degrees, 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 10 degrees. Like every single day, it just fluctuates so much. Here, it's between 60 in the morning to 90 degrees in the afternoon, and it's wonderful. The rain's coming, which I'm not super excited about, but I'll take a rainy summer over a snowy winter any day. So if you've never seen one of my videos before, let me catch you up. About 6 months ago, we packed up a small trailer with as many of our belongings as would fit and moved to Florida. We didn't plan a lot, we didn't have a lot of time to figure anything out because we sold our house and just left. We were done. We started looking at the beginning of summer around June, July for a place to live, and then a couple of weeks later we left. And now we're here. And we've done some things and we've been through some things, and there are a lot of things that if I had it to do over, I would do different, and a few things that maybe I would have done the same. So this video is kind of like a 6-month how it's going moving to Florida vlog. Some tips or some suggestions I might make if you are planning to move to Florida, especially if you have kids or if one or both of you moving are a teacher, because there's a lot of differences between where we used to live, Massachusetts, and Florida. Some I was aware of, some not so much. So on the topic of Amanda being a teacher and kids in school, so there's a distinct difference between the schools in Massachusetts, both from the perspective of being a student or having kids in school, and also from the perspective of having a teacher. I think the most important thing as part of a plan to move to Florida is to figure out if you can accept and be okay with the salary that they pay teachers in Florida despite level of education. Like Amanda has a master's in education, and in Massachusetts, she was making an amount of money that I personally consider to be not worth teaching. The transition of moving to Florida involved an unbelievable pay cut. A pay cut that it took me a long time. Like, this has been our plan for years and years and years to eventually move to Florida, be in the sunshine, be in the warmth, be near the theme parks that we love going to, and it took me several years to finally wrap my brain around the amount of money that they pay teachers in Florida. It's disgusting. It's gross. I have a lot of negative things to say about the Florida government and how they pay teachers, but that's not the point. The point is, if you're planning on moving to Florida, know that the pay scale is a disaster and you make almost no money. So I'm pretty sure that like we're at the last 1 to 2 years of Amanda being a teacher, and then in the next couple of years she'll transition into something that compensates you fairly for the hard work you do. Anyway, from the perspective of being a teacher in Florida, I'd say it's not worth it. Me personally. Which leads to the next point, where we were getting a lot of people telling us what schools were good, what schools were bad, where you should live so you can get into right school district, and one of the places that a lot of people said were great was Seminole County. So that's where we ended up first. We rented an apartment in a school district that we thought was gonna be great, and we sent our kids to school. It wasn't great. It was actually bad. Like, the experience at that school was every single day a negative thing. And Miles and Michelle would come home every single day and just kind of like, I don't know, there was just this defeat about them coming home because none of the kids wanted to learn. They didn't really accomplish anything in a school day. Miles' second grade class had to be evacuated at least once a week, if not more, because there was some kid fighting with some other kid. It's hard to figure out where you should go to school. Personally, I've heard a lot of things. I think Seminole County is terrible. I also think Orange County is terrible. Based on the experience that I have, because Amanda was a teacher there for a couple of months before we moved to where we live now, and the school was kind of trash. Maybe not all of the schools are bad. That school was bad. The kids were belligerent, they didn't listen, every single class was just swearing, cursing, yelling at teachers, treating teachers like trash. The parents come in and then treat the teachers like they're the enemy. It was really hard for us to figure out where we wanted to move. The school that they're going to now is in a place that we were explicitly told not to send the kids to, and it is the best school they've ever been in. This is the first time in Amanda's, I don't know, she's been teaching for like 15 years or something like that, you know, all different levels of teaching. This is the first time she has ever, in the history of her teaching career, come home and said, I like my job. Never. That has never happened before. It's unbelievable. The kids are really happy, Amanda's happy, life is pretty good in the one place that we were explicitly told not to go. It's amazing. That may have been a longer-winded rant than I wanted to go on about schools, but being the father of school-age children and the husband of a school teacher, it's something that I'm very passionate about. So that kind of leads into this second part of moving to Florida that was a nightmare, was finding a place to live. And I know I kind of have, over the course of the last couple of months of moving, talked about this, but this is like, I'm seeing nightmare stories from other people trying to find rental properties and places to live. It's really hard, it's frustrating. So when we first moved here, I had found this company called Main Street Renewal, who I put an offer in on a rental property, and then they go through this process of like background check, there's credit checks, I think they do references. We've never rented, so I didn't have any rental references. We've always owned houses, but all of that. So all of that takes apparently weeks to months somehow. I don't know how it takes that long. So I went through the process of applying for a rental house that we wanted to move into when we came. We wanted to have it ready to go, ready to move into, bring our trailer, unload our stuff. So I put in an application for a house. Weeks later, this is probably 3 weeks later, that house is gone. The other houses in the area are gone. And I've given up on this place. They haven't said a word to me. They haven't gotten back to me. They haven't approved or even talked about when I'll be approved. So after like 3 weeks, I said, hey guys, this isn't working out. Give me my money back. And they said, no. Why? You haven't done any of the work. So I had to go through the process of fighting them through the Better Business Bureau. I did a reversal of funds on my credit card. It's a $50 application fee. Not a ton of money, it's the principle of the theft. They stole my money and didn't do what they said they were going to do, so I wanted the money back. So we looked into a couple of other rental property places. It was a similar kind of experience, so we ended up giving up on the idea of renting a house when we get here and went with an apartment. I've never lived in an apartment before. When I was younger, I had roommates, we rented houses. Amanda and I bought our first house and then moved after that and bought another house. I've never lived in an apartment complex. You know, the place where you like walk up the stairs and there's people on all sides of you. I've never done it before. It was horrible. Maybe you like the experience, that's great. I thought it was terrible, and one of the worst parts was the price gouging going on down here. So for like an apartment that was built in, I don't know, 1980, it still had the original appliances, you know, like that really crummy electric stove with the wire things on it, and the dishwasher that kind of cleaned things, but I could clean it better by just putting it away dirty. We paid almost $2,000 a month for that. That didn't include electricity or water, that was just rent. It was ridiculous. So after we'd done the renting for a little while, like 2 months, we decided that we were gonna break the lease on the apartment and just buy a house. So we did. It took a couple of months to get it built and finalized and sold, but it was 100% worth it. The company who built this house, I'm not in love with. The house, we're still kind of flushing out some problems. One of the biggest things I'm dealing with right now is the paint that they used on the wall. It gets discolored and scratched if you look at it. So I'm trying not to even look at the walls anymore. We'll eventually have to repaint. I just built an office. We've been spending an ungodly amount of money buying furniture and tables and chairs and all kinds of things, but I think we're in a good place. The apartment was a great jumping off point to get us here, but I don't know that I could live there for longer than We did. I think we were there for 5 months. And it was not great. So, schools, meh. Apartments, no. New construction homes are kind of okay. Not my favorite thing to deal with or be involved with. I mean, there are like so many other things about moving to Florida that just change your perception of the place from when you're on vacation to when you actually live here. Despite us always having a car, we always drove down here. We knew about I-4, drove up and down I-4. It is kind of a nightmare all the time. In the entirety of the amount of time I've been driving, I don't think I have cumulatively seen as many accidents in New England as I have seen in the 6 months that we've lived in Florida on I-4 alone. Florida is full of the worst drivers. The worst. Going down the road, there's just people. Everybody's just in and out of and driving as fast as they can, and then you get up and there's like 6 accidents within 10 miles. I don't know what they're doing in Florida to train drivers to drive, but it's bad. And even worse than the I-4 drivers are the people driving around Disney property. Because you'll have 3 or 4 lanes of traffic and a person in the left lane who decides they want to get off at an exit. And they swerve across 4 lanes of traffic to hit that exit. And the biggest problem with that is, if you don't quite understand how to navigate Disney, like 1 mile ahead, you'll find an exit you can get off at and turn around and go. It'll take you no more than 5 minutes to get back there if you miss the exit. Don't put people's lives in danger. It's really messed up. Stop driving bad. Pay attention to the road. Get off your phone. Use a Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps. Like, stop driving like a jerk. It's insane. I should really call this video something like things that make me angry about living in Florida, because I feel like everything I've talked about is just things that are making me frustrated. There are good things though. There are like really good things. But on the topic of Disney and Disney property, I have become more and more vocal. Not that it matters, like who am I? My opinion is, I never thought in living in Florida in such a short amount of time, I would come to hate Disney so much. Now, I have to qualify that by saying I really enjoy being on property. I like going to the parks. I like hanging out at the resorts and going to walk around, but corporate Disney has become something that I am so vehemently against that the entirety of the Disney bubble is just kind of burst. And I really didn't think that would happen in 6 months. I thought it would take a little bit longer because one of the main reasons we wanted to move to Florida was to be closer to the place that we vacation so we can go vacation other places, but still enjoy the Disney. We still haven't been to Universal, still haven't been to SeaWorld or Legoland. Those things are coming, but the Disney of Florida is just kind of dead to me right now. When we first moved, they weren't selling annual passes, which was fine. We ended up just waiting around. We found other things to do. We went and checked out a ton of cool stuff, found some great taco places, and then they sold annual passes again, and we paid an unbelievable amount of money for the 4 of us to get annual passes. And then we kind of started going to the parks, but every time you go into the park, it is a mob scene. You don't have that 1 week of downtime between Christmas and spring break where it's like, yay, this is why I wanted to be here and go. I think that'll eventually go away as, COVID kept everybody at home and now everybody's comfortable coming to the parks. I think Disney is doing a terrible job of managing that and also having enough extra things to do to keep the crowds at bay. There's a video that I'll make about all of my unpopular Disney opinions, but that for me kind of wraps up all the moving to Florida. If I had it to do over, I wouldn't change the Disney, I wouldn't change the moving to Florida. I'd still move. I still love living here. I think those are some things that I wish I was prepared for. The schools, the traffic, the hating Disney. Like, I guess hate's a strong word, but kinda do. There are great things about living in Florida. I love the weather. I love not seeing snow. I love that there's so much to do. I love that despite being in Central Florida, we're an hour away from the beach either way. I want to go see NASA and go check out like a SpaceX launch. One day we were in Hollywood Studios having a drink at the tap house, and we were able to actually see one of the SpaceX launches going right up and over. It was amazing. It was great. There's a lot of good things. Those are the things that I wish I was ready for, I guess, before we moved. I don't know if this was a positive or negative video. They'll be better next time. That's it. Goodbye.